The Apostle Paul would have made a terrible Southerner. What I mean is that Paul speaks directly and forthrightly, even if what he says is uncomfortable. We Southerners, on the other hand, bend over backwards to spare others' feelings, and we do it by giving false reasons for doing some of the things we do. Hello, I'm Stuart Baskin, pastor of First Presbyterian Church of Tyler, Texas, and this is your daily devotional for Wednesday, May 31st, 2023. How many times have we given someone a false, or at least only half-true reason why we can't attend a party or some other event? One of my favorite seminary professors told me a story about his father, also a well-known Presbyterian minister, who was in some demand on the speaking circuit. If someone called to invite him to speak somewhere and he didn't really want to do it, he had a trick. He would look at his calendar, and if he saw that the date was available, he'd simply put a mark on the date in his calendar and then say, "I'm sorry, I have something on that date." It wasn't exactly a lie. There was something on that date, a pen mark in his calendar. It spared him the discomfort of having to say no for reasons that might offend, and it spared the caller the embarrassment of being rejected just because the man didn't want to speak at the caller's event. What a very Southern thing to do. Paul had apparently planned a visit to Corinth, but then decided against it. It would probably have been at least his third visit there. During his first visit, when he stayed for 18 months, he had organized the church there. He seems to have then written a letter to them later, as I noted yesterday, that he refers to in 1 Corinthians. This letter apparently had some hard words in it, which no doubt caused hard feelings. After at least a couple of years away, he visited Corinth again, but this time the visit was tense. As a result, Paul, who had planned yet another visit, decided to cancel those plans, which no doubt caused even more hard feelings, at least among some of the Corinthians. Now, if Paul had been a Southerner, a true Southerner, he would have made up some plausible excuse for his change of plans. "Sorry," he might have said, "something has come up and I just can't make the trip right now. Maybe I'll make it later." They and we would have been none the wiser. But that just wasn't in Paul's nature to do. Instead, he addresses the issue forthrightly and directly. At the end of chapter 1 and the beginning of chapter 2, he writes, "But I call on God as witness against me. It was to spare you that I did not come again to Corinth. I do not mean to imply that we lord it over your faith. Rather, we are workers with you for your joy, because you stand firm in the faith. So I made up my mind not to make you another painful visit. For if I cause you pain, who is there to make me glad but the one whom I have pained? And I wrote as I did so that when I came, I might not suffer pain from those who should have made me rejoice. For I am confident about all of you, that my joy would be the joy of all of you. For I wrote you out of much distress and anguish of heart and with many tears, not to cause you pain, but to let you know the abundant love that I have for you." From what we can piece together here, Paul had already written them about his decision not to come, and the church had probably written him back with the message that we can reasonably infer from this passage accused Paul of being insincere or even duplicitous. From what Paul writes back, they thought he must have had some hidden agenda in making his change of plan. And while we obviously don't know the content of either Paul's earlier letter telling them his decision not to visit, or their letter to him reacting to his decision, it is clear there were hard feelings on their part. In this response, Paul takes the difficult path, which also happens to be the high road. In a word, he's being honest with them. And while honesty like this can be painful in the short term, it is the right strategy for maintaining healthy relationships in the long run. Sparing people's feelings from unnecessary hurt is certainly a good thing in some cases, but in the long run, being honest and forthright is the better thing. Knowing that we can trust each other to say what we mean and mean what we say is frequently more important than sparing someone's feelings by hiding the truth. Tomorrow, Paul talks about the source and basis of his hope. But for now, may God continue to bless you and keep you in all that you do this day and in all the days ahead.